Verzeo, your one-stop solution to everything learning.
First of all, hello everyone. Good evening for today's session, and hope you all are doing great in this pandemic time. And I'm Ajay Billav. I'm host for today's webinar, and I take care of operations part in Verzeo. I'm operations manager in Verzeo. And as we have gathered together in this social meet for a great webinar topic, that is the skill set which is required to ace interviews and to get placed. As you know, today's guest, Ms. Manvi Tyagi, a software engineer at Twitter and founder of Girl Code It. She'll be the right person to go ahead with this topic that I believe. And to tell about her, she has interned at PayPal and Investor, and during her college, she had cracked many interviews, several interviews at like Microsoft or Amazon or different companies. And I won't take much time off you guys. Uh, I'll be handing over the mic to Manvi, and yep, hope you all enjoy this session. And that's all from my end. Manvi, you can take it further. Thank you so much again, Manvi, for being here.
Hello everybody. Is my screen visible to all? And am I audible and visible and my screen visible to you all? Okay. So as Ajay already told about me, I am currently working as a software engineer at Twitter, and I founded Girl Coded. I've been running this organization for approximately 2.5 years now. I've been an intern at PayPal, Innovator, and PWS, along with like all these have been software development internships. And attributing to my interest in teaching, I have been also a teaching assistant at Coding Ninjas, and I try ways to share my knowledge with others through different ways. You can connect with me on these social media sites, and I'll just move forward to what are we gonna do today. Okay, so the today's webinar is gonna be about skills required to ace software engineer interviews at product-based companies. Why I am the right person to talk about it, I hope that has been clear because I just graduated in 2021. I'm a fresh grad and I have had offers from a number of companies when I graduated. And I'm not from some very good college. I'm from Maharaja Agresyan Institute of Technology. So I cracked all these companies off campus. All my offers, all the companies that I've been working with or I've worked with have been off campus opportunities. So I hope to share all my experiences with you, and I hope that they will be useful for you as well. So for today's talk, the agenda is going to be like we'll discuss the general interview process, like how what happens, how many rounds are there, what is asked in each round, the preparation strategy for preparing for those interviews, preparation resources, where to prepare from and how to prepare, the interview hour, apart from getting calls from interviews, how to actually perform in an interview, the 1 hour of your interview, how do you go about sharing your approaches with the interviewer, how to actually sit in an interview setting. And lastly, we'll talk about the application process, resume, LinkedIn profile, and referrals. That is an important pointer when it comes to off-campus hirings. People are so afraid that they won't get opportunities, but if you apply the right way, if you have the right strategy, if you know things well, it's not a big deal. So I hope everybody is clear with the agenda, and I'll just so okay. This talk is mostly gonna be about product-based companies. So as you all know, like there are these two sets of companies, product-based and service-based. In product-based companies like Microsoft or Amazon, Google, all these companies are product-based companies. Flipkart, all Twitter, PayPal. Service-based companies include these Infosys and Accenture, Wipro, HCL. All these companies come under the umbrella of service-based. And the package of these companies is like around 3 to 5 LPA or something near around that. For product-based companies, usually the package range is from 12 LPA to 50, 60. It can go high. Like Microsoft offers 42 LPA, Amazon offers 32, Google offers 55. Um, So my talk is gonna be around preparation of these product-based companies. It's comparatively easy to crack these companies and definitely tougher to crack these companies. Not that tough, but yeah, comparatively. So my talk, whatever I'm gonna tell you, is gonna help you prepare for product-based companies. Um, you can't share see my screen. Okay, just a second. Can you see now? So the how the journal off-campus interview process looks like. Usually, the first round is the online assessment in which you get MCQs. It could be aptitude related MCQs, it could be MCQs related to computer science fundamentals or basic programming or coding questions. Other than MCQs, you have coding questions. So basically, it's not like every company has MCQs and it's not like every company has only coding questions. It depends on the companies. You can either have only coding questions or you may have both MCQs and coding questions. That is the first round usually after you get shortlisted in some company. Vikas says I'm not audible. Am I audible to everybody else? Because it might be a problem on your end then. So once you get shortlisted in the first online assessment round, you are moved to a technical face-to-face rounds. Like in during these COVID times, these technical face-to-face rounds happen on Zoom calls or Google Meet. Mostly two, but it can also be three in some companies. What these technical rounds focus on, either data structures and algorithms. One of the rounds is for sure data structures and algorithms. In each round, you get asked one or two questions. The duration of this round is 45 minutes or 60 minutes, depending upon the company again. And the expectation is complete, clean, executable code. The other round in some companies, round two and round three, both are data structures and algorithms. Like they take 2 or 3 rounds of data structures. In few companies, they have a separate round for computer science fundamentals. They discuss database management, object-oriented programming, operating system, computer networks, or system design. Some companies mix these rounds. They ask like for 30 minutes they'll ask you DSLGO questions, and for some other remaining time they'll ask you CS fundamentals. Some other companies have a whole round dedicated to computer science fundamentals. Other than that, in these technical rounds, there is a discussion on your resume, the projects that you have made, the previous experiences that you have had, whether it be internships or any other previous work experience that you have, the skills that you have mentioned in your resume. There's a total grill on your resume in these rounds. So after technical rounds, some companies, so what happens is in some companies there are elimination rounds. So if you clear the second round, only then you move to the third round. In some companies, they take both the rounds and give the result cumulatively. And the final round is the HR interview or the managerial round or bar raiser round. Different companies have different names for these rounds. This resolves around assessing you as a person and determining if you are a fit for the organization or not. So this is the basic process. Most of the companies follow this process. Some companies, especially some startups, also give you an assignment. Let's say build some website or build some application in round one instead of online assessment. But for most of the product based companies, this structure is followed. For startups, they can give you take home assignments. You have to submit it in 1 week or 2 days or 3 days. All right. Preparation strategy. Let's talk about preparation strategy. So the thing is, guys, you what do you have to prepare? Whatever is asked in the interviews, you have to prepare that, right? That is the only things that you have to prepare if you're preparing for interviews. So your preparation should be focused on what is asked on the interviews and you know eliminate other disturbances and distractions, not to study extra things basically. So what is according to me, these are the following things that you should prepare before giving a software engineering interview. First is data structures and algorithms. Like as I told in this first round itself, in the online assessment, you get coding questions, 2 or 3 coding questions, which you have to solve in like 2 hours or something. In second and third technical round, or even fourth technical round, if it happens, DSLGO is asked. So like a major focus of the companies has been data structures and algorithms. Second is object oriented programming. All these concepts of encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance, all these OOPS concepts. uh, you should be very good at OOPS. Next is computer science fundamentals, which includes again database management system, operating systems, and computer networks. Most of the companies ask DBMS and operating systems for sure. You will definitely be asked DBMS and OS for most companies. And computer networks is it's like some companies ask computer networks and some don't. So it's better to prepare, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. So prepare computer networks, at least the basics of computer networks. For example, let me give you some examples of the companies that are high on computer networks. Cisco asks a lot of computer networks, and Postman too. Postman, Cisco, these companies ask computer networks too. And companies like Adobe and AWS, they have good. You must have a good understanding of DBMS and OS to crack them. And MCQ preparation, like in the first round, from the previous slide, get MCQs related to aptitude or C++, Java. Questions like you will be given a code and you will have to write the output of it or point out the errors in it, or some questions related to pointers. And also SQL queries are also asked in MCQs sometimes. So that is a part of DBMS. When you prepare DBMS, that part will be covered. And a new trend is asking system design. System design includes low level design and high level design. Few companies have started asking system design even to freshers. For experienced professionals, system design is asked. For new grads, system design was not asked before, but now it is being asked. It's a new trend. And like Adobe asks, I have friends who have been asked high level design questions in Microsoft, and I was asked a low level design question in Adobe's interview. And puzzles again, like all these puzzles on basically those standard puzzles like the water and jug problem, three balls problem, the rope problem. All these puzzles, aptitude puzzles, are also asked. So these are the things that you have to cover before, like while you are in the preparation phase. And once you are thorough with these six things, there is a very high probability that you will surely be able to crack any interviews in any product-based companies. So now I'm gonna talk about the preparation strategy for each of the things. Data structures, oops. I'll talk about all six things, how to prepare, what are the resources that you should use for preparing. Okay. Oh, the first question is like why product-based companies give so much importance to data structures and algorithms, right? Why, like when you join some company as a software engineer, you either work on web applications or mobile applications or softwares. You don't like really solve questions of data structures and algorithms. Then why product based companies give so much importance to DSLGO? The reason is they're trying to test your logic. They're like, if the candidate is good at logic building and problem solving, we'll teach the candidate to build websites, we'll teach him or her to build applications. We just need good logic and problem solving abilities, and data structures and algorithms are a good way to test it. And before proceeding to the how to prepare data structures and algorithms, I want to mention that language doesn't matter. Whatever language you code in, C++, Java, Python, proceed with it. No worries. I code in C++, or I personally prefer C++ or Java for data structures and algorithms interviews. Okay, now about the preparation strategies. There are three parts to preparing for DS and Algo. I'm assuming, let's say you are a person who is completely new to preparation of DS Algo, then there are three phases in which you should prepare. The first phase is getting a basic understanding. Language, in this phase, you learn about the language, you understand the basics of the language. You get to know the implementation of different data structures and algorithms. You get clarity on what is time and space complexity, how to calculate it, what is what is the significance of complexity. So in this phase, you have to study all these data structures, be it arrays, tags, queues, linked list, dynamic programming, greedy approaches. So have all these concepts clear, and I'll also share the resources from where you can do it. So that is the first phase. I think around 2 months are enough for going through this phase. Just solve some easy problems Basically, be clear with the concepts, right? You must know how to implement these basic data structures. After this phase comes the problem solving ability phase, the ability to solve new problems, build logic. So in this phase, you have to solve newer questions, tougher problems, to build the ability to solve new questions. Like you solved, let's say, 500 questions in your preparation phase, but you get some new question in the interview. Are you able to solve it or not? This is the phase where you develop your problem solving abilities. And the third is solving standard interview problems. So what happens in interviews now, basically, there are this set of 1500, 1600 questions which all these companies are asking repeatedly. Most of the companies are repeating questions, and those are standard questions. You can find them on LeetCode, GFG. I'll talk about the resources, how to find these standard interview problems. So you should separate out some time for solving these standard interview problems. Okay. Now, okay, so where do you actually study? For this first phase, you can see my screen, right? My screen is still visible. So let's talk about the concepts phase. For concept building, you could simply do a course from YouTube. That would be enough. Some good courses you can find at Pep Coding, or there is this channel called as My Code School. I'm just talking about free resources, and I'll not talk about any paid resources here. So that would be enough, or you could even use Geeks for Geeks in this phase. Solve some easier problems, whatever problems these guys are solving in their videos, use them. Or in fact, you could also use Girl Coded's code map. Like if you some people get confused by where should they study from, what channels to use. So you could use this. You will find all these topics along with what videos to see, what questions to solve for this phase. You will get a good understanding. Like it has until graphs, it covers all the data structures and algorithms. Or you could use any paid courses if you want to, but I don't feel like that there is a need to use paid courses. There is a lot of content available already for free. The second phase is the problem solving ability phase. This is the most important phase, I would say, when it comes to um, preparing for interviews, because you don't know, right? You might get asked a new question. You should be able to solve it. And again, the reason for product based companies asking DSLGO is to test your logic. So you have to build that logic. Basically, this phase is also called as building the brain muscle to solve questions. Nobody can teach you problem solving ability. Okay, you have YouTube and other courses for developing, for understanding the concepts and getting basic understanding, but nobody can teach you problem solving abilities. There are no resources that I can share, or no courses actually. Then how do you develop problem solving abilities? Is by solving questions, solving tougher problems. It's not important that you have to like actually correct the solution, but if let's say you're solving a very tough problem, a difficult problem, you think of ways of doing it by, let's say, approach X, approach Y, approach Z, and you're not able to solve it. That's okay. Your brain muscle is built by trying to solve that question, by thinking of ideas, by getting those wrong answers and TLEs in code judges. You build that problem solving ability by doing that. People are not born with it. Like this is the hard phase actually. People get demotivated in this phase, but people are nobody is born with problem solving ability. They develop it by practicing. It's the same way. Like the first day you go to the gym, your legs pain, and some days it gets normal, right? And you have those muscles finally. It's the same way for problem solving abilities. About timeline, it takes different time for everybody. There is no fixed timeline. I cannot make a comment on how much time it will take, but people practice like for 6 months, a year. For some people, maybe they'll be able to have a good skill in three months. That differs. That depends on upon a number of factors actually. So but you will be, it's not like you will not be able to generate problem solving ability. This is the second phase, and the third phase is standard interview problems. And for actually for second phase, I'll share where to solve these problems from. You could use lead code or you could use interview bit. And there is this debate all the time. Is competitive programming necessary or not? There is competitive programming is not necessary, but building problem solving ability is necessary. And how you build that problem solving ability is up to you. Even there are good questions on lead code. Even if you give contest on lead code, solve a lot of problems on lead code, you will generate that problem solving ability. Or you could use competitive programming to build that problem solving ability. It's that simple. No debate about it if competitive programming is necessary or not. I hope the resources for first two phases are clear. And for third phase, standard interview problems. So see, there are some problems, like as I told people, companies are asking them repeatedly. So the question is like, do we need the third phase? If we are solving a lot of problems in the second phase, solving new problems, building logic, then why do we need to practice standard interview problems? See, if you get some problem that you've already solved in the interview before, then you'll be like, okay, you'll have more confidence in solving that problem in the actual interview. And sometimes these standard interview problems use some kind of tricks and logics which are not thinkable, I would say, in 30 minutes interview. So that's why solving these interview problems is important. And where do you find these standard interview problems? Again, on lead code, if you search on lead code, there is this section, um, top 100, yeah, most asked questions. Those are free list. You don't need to have a lead code premium for that. You could just have this tag where it is. You can explore on this website, not this, top 100 like questions. Yeah. So you can solve all these 100 questions or top interview questions. These tags are there on LeetCode. Solve all these questions, or in fact, even on Geeks for Geeks, you'll find these tags. So 500, 600 problems which are standard, keep them solved, keep them in your, ki haan bhai, if this problem comes, you'll be able to solve it. And there is really a high probability of getting repeated questions in interviews. Okay, so I hope we are clear on the data structures and algorithms part until now. If you have any questions until now, please drop in the chat and then I'll talk about other parts. We'll close the data structures and algorithms part here. Also, please don't send me direct messages on Zoom so that everybody else can also see what questions you're asking. Okay, I think everybody is clear then until now. I think I did a good job in explaining how to prepare and where to prepare from. What comes under implementation? Varun, let's say you have stacks, okay? So how do you implement stack? You basically you have if I talk about C++, you have a STL, you have standard template library, and you use stack from there directly. But what if you have to implement it by yourself? You have to make a class called as stack and be able to use it. That is called implementation. Ma'am, is important to learn only Java and C++? You can do Python. Jayant, no issues. You can do Python. No issues. Where to learn DS from? I gave you the resources already. You can use these playlists on YouTube, free playlists on YouTube by Pep Coding or My Code School. These are the two channels that I find good. And other than that, I also shared this girl coded code map. It is something that I have myself made. It's also free. It contains all the best resources. Like for binary search, you'll find a playlist by, I guess, Aditya Verma. In graphs, you will find a playlist from some other person. So you don't have to actually search by yourself on YouTube which playlist is good for which company. So you can just directly use girl coded code map. So Rishikesh, yes, this we call it a code map because it is a roadmap for learning DSL Go. Is it compulsory to have a CS background or CS bachelor's? No, Jeevan. Most of the many companies don't have that requirement, especially off campus. Arpita, DS can be done with CS, C, but I prefer that you learn C++. Don't do the DS and C. Certificates matter? No, not at all. Only skills matter. Should I go for love babbar questions? Yeah, you can. I guess Pep Coding also has a list which has around 600 questions. For but Dashrath, those 480 questions are come under the tag of standard interview problems. They don't come under problem solving ability. Okay. So those are standard interview problems that you can. When should one start doing internships? Charu, whenever you are ready. Yes, you can Undavali apply off campus for Amazon. I had an offer from Amazon and I applied off campus. Darshan, no, it's not necessary to learn C++ before Python. Premkant, questions won't change even if you are from mechanical or whatever branch. CGPA matters, like you should have a minimum CGPA of around 7.5. Some companies have that barrier. They won't shortlist you if you don't have a bare minimum of 7.5 or 7. Different companies have different CGPA criteria. Which app, Firoz? Which app are you talking about? Okay, so guys, I'll stop the questions for now so that for other questions, we will take the remaining time. Okay. OS, DBMS, and computer networks. Again, the second most part, apart from data structures and algorithms, are these three subjects which come under computer science fundamentals. So, free resources for them on YouTube. You can take a screenshot of my screen for your reference. Knowledge Gate channel is there in which on which Sanchit Jain teaches. There is a playlist, I guess, for all for OS, DBMS, and CN. You'll find different playlists. Uncode is another channel in which Ravindra Babu Ravula teaches, and Gate Smashes. All three of them are good. You can use any one of them. And you can use Geeks for revision after that, like before the interviews. And before the interviews, I also suggest you to go through top interview questions for respective subjects. Under paid resources, I personally did the Geeks SD theory because I wasn't really prepared with computer science fundamentals until my fourth year, until I actually started giving interviews. So this is a very precise course. Geeks for Geeks. Its name is Geeks for Geeks SD theory. All three subjects are covered in that course. And there are courses on educative.io as well, which are a little costly, but they're good. So this is about the resources to use for OS, DBMS, and computer networks. When it comes to DBMS, no, many companies ask SQL queries. In MCQs, they ask it, and also in online assessment, and also in the face-to-face rounds, you'll be asked SQL queries. They are very common. So where do you prepare SQL queries from, or where do you practice? There is this section on interview bit about MySQL and DBMS. So it has a lot of good theory. You can use it as a good reference and practice all the queries that are there. And even then, if you don't feel confident, move ahead to HackerRank and solve all the easy and medium problems. Don't try to solve the harder problems. You don't need to have that much of skill in SQL to solve in the interviews. Basic, easy, and medium problems would do. For puzzles, use Geeks for Geeks, and it's not like you sit in one day and solve 100 puzzles. Maybe just solve 2 3 puzzles every day when your interviews are near, or in your fourth year basically, or whenever you want to, if even if you are in first, second, third year. But don't it's not really needed to prepare a lot on puzzles. It's not that tough. For system design, for the concepts and high level design, you can use Gaurav Sen or pseudocode playlist. On pseudocode, Yogita Sharma teaches, and both of these playlists are very good. Or like there are one single playlist about concepts, I guess. Um, all these concepts around scalability, horizontal scaling, vertical scaling, choosing a database which is better for a specific application and use case. Those come under the concepts of system design. And high level design covers questions like design Instagram or design Twitter, or design a parking, design all these applications like Facebook or whatever. So high level design videos are also available on these channels. Low level design, what is low level design? You are expected to write some kind of code, classes and functions to replicate the functionality of, let's say, a library or a parking system or a hotel. For that, I'll suggest to watch a few videos from Swamiji Bhattacharya's LLD playlist. You don't need to watch all the videos. Like I guess 4 or 5 videos, watching 4 or 5 videos is enough for LLD. Okay, so this was about the resources for computer science fundamentals. Now you got an interview, you know what is asked in an interview. But some people still, like there are people who are prepared with DSL Go, who are good at computer science fundamentals, but they still are rejected in interviews, because there is a strategy of solving questions in an interview, and that is different from solving questions alone, basically. So this slide talks about the interview hour, how to approach a question in an interview, what things to take care of. First of all, listen the question carefully and ask any clarifying questions. It's not like the interview is gonna get mad at you, or it will have any negative impact, or will add to negative points if you ask any clarifying questions. In fact, many times interviewers knowingly leave gaps for candidate to cover up. They'll not tell you that the array will only have positive numbers, or the array will have duplicate strings or numbers. They'll not tell you the minimum or the maximum size. So you have to ask these questions, listen the question carefully, and be on the same page. Sometimes the interviewer is expecting something and you understood something else, and you're solving some other question and not what interviewer asked. So that should not happen. Be on the same page, confirm. Once you listen the question, confirm it. Okay, this is what you have told me and this is what I have to do. Be on the same page with the interviewer, first thing. And guys, believe me, they like it. If you ask clarifying questions, it's a plus point. But don't ask anything extra, like just to ask clarifying questions. Don't ask stupid questions too. Second thing is talk and code. Like when we sit and solve questions alone at home on our laptops, we use a copy and a pen, or we maybe some people solve it in their heads, some people talk to themselves. But in an interview setting, it's important to share your approaches and ideas with the interviewer. The interviewer wants to know how you think. They just, the goal of the interview is not to have only have a runnable code. They want to know and assess how you actually think, right? So share your approaches, whatever you are thinking. Let's say you see a question and whatever comes to your mind, maybe let's say a brute force approach came to your mind, share it. Okay, I'm thinking in this direction, this can be done, but there might be a better way to do it. So talk whatever you're thinking, speak it out, and explain your code. Even if you like write a code, explain it, like this function is doing this and this is doing this. Talk about time and space complexity, talk about trade-offs. Even before the interviewer asks, have a habit of talking about time and space complexity. Let's say you are not sure about the time and space complexity of the code that you have written, which should not happen actually. You should be really good at calculating time and space complexity. So in that case, don't initiate that conversation by yourself. If the interviewer asks, then you have to give an answer. But if you are sure of that this is the time and space complexity, talk about it. And also do some discussion around why you used a particular data structure or algorithm while you explain your code. Test for edge cases. Let's say, is your code working on an empty array? Is your code working for very big numbers? So all those edge cases which might be possible for depending upon the question. Test for it by yourself and speak it out that I am thinking about edge cases, whether my code will work on edge cases or not. You should think this in front of the interviewer. Sample dry run on the test cases if needed, if you have time. Basically, take an example and put it like go through it, do a dry run in front of the interviewer. But do it only if you have time and if the interviewer is asking for it, because sometimes you have to also take care of the time, no, 45 minutes or 60 minutes, and you have to solve two questions. Next is good code quality. Use meaningful variable or function names. Let's say if you have to, for example, find shortest path, then the name of the function should be find shortest path. It should not be XYZ. Okay. Let's say you have to find minimum height, then the name of that variable should not be ABC or XYZ. It should be minimum height. By minimum height, I don't mean like write full minimum. You can use min and height. Basically use meaningful variable or function names. And again, you should write well structured modular code instead of one large function. Let's say you are writing some code and it is doing a lot of things, so it's better to modularize your code. Let's say there is some helper function, there is some part of the code which could be done in another function. So instead of writing it all in one space, divide your code into modules. And lastly, grab the hints which the interviewer is trying to give you. Listen to what he is or she is trying to convey. Sometimes you are on the wrong path and the interviewers give you hints to come back on the right path, or they give you hints to optimize. So be careful of what the interviewer is speaking. Apart from all these 6 points, another point that I forgot to mention in the slide is managing your time. In most cases, interviewer will tell you if they are gonna ask you one question or two questions. If they're gonna ask you one question, take your time. But let's say you are gonna be asked two questions and the interview is of 60 minutes. Then keep a watch on the clock as well and try to solve the first question within 30 minutes and keep the remaining time for the next question. Sometimes, we get so much lost in like I said, talk and code. Don't talk too much that you spend 45-50 minutes on one questions. So be careful about that too. So I hope this slide provided you some insights on how to actually solve a question inside an interview, and it's really important, guys. Some people, there are really good coders who are 5-star, 6-star coders and have solved like 1,000 questions on lead code, but they don't perform well in the interview. They could write the code, but they didn't communicate at all. So that is where things go wrong. Next, application process. We talked all about how to perform in an interview, what is asked, what are the resources. But how do you actually get an interview call, especially off campus? On campus, companies come and everything is normal. You don't need to do anything extra. But in off campus, like somebody was also asking me, can they apply to Amazon off campus? Yes, you just search Amazon careers. Most of the companies have their own career site. So Amazon careers, Google careers, Twitter careers, search them, and the first result will be the career site. On some of the career site, there is an option to subscribe. Let's say, subscribe to a particular job, subscribe to software engineering jobs. So whenever there is an opening, you will get an email that there is an opening. On some sites it's there, and on others it's not. Other thing you could do is follow the LinkedIn pages of all these companies, because most jobs are also posted on LinkedIn as well. Some companies do that. And an extra tip here, if you're looking for internships or jobs in startups, then angel.co is a very good website. Now, the question, like if you think closely, there is a career site, anybody can search for it, and the population of itself, India is 135 crores, right? So, and there are many engineers, so many people are doing BTech. So people will apply on career site, but who has the time to actually see all the resumes, right? That's why people don't get called for interviews. Most of the people are not shortlisted after applying to career site, because the recruiters don't have the time to go through each resume. This is where two important things come in. One is ATS, applicant tracking software filtering. This is used to automatically filter resumes. And your ATS score is calculated, or X number is decided. Okay, if the ATS score is 75, this resume is shortlisted, and anything below that is not shortlisted. So some companies use these ATS softwares. So one thing is, you should make ATS friendly resumes. To make that, we'll talk about it in the next slides. Another thing is referrals. Extremely important, very important. The people working at the company currently can refer their connections whom they believe would be a great fit for the role. This is what referrals are. So basically, let's say if somebody is working at Amazon, and they can refer you. Most companies have this referral portal, internal portal. The person working at Amazon will put your referral inside the referral portal, and these referred applications are treated as priority applications. So the recruiters, mostly, like, all the referred applications are at least reviewed. Referrals doesn't mean for sure shortlisting. Referrals mean that your resume will for sure be reviewed at least. So be careful about these 2 points. Make ATS friendly resumes and apply with referrals. Don't apply directly through career site. Like with referrals also, you'll be applying through career site, but you'll be asking for referrals on LinkedIn and Twitter, and you'll get an email once you get referred, and then you apply with that link provided in the email. That's how the referrals works. Okay, referrals. Maybe you don't have any aunts or uncles working in companies to refer you, right? You don't need aunts or uncles to refer you. You can ask for referrals on LinkedIn, Twitter, or your college seniors. Like, everybody is on these social medias, right? All my referrals have been through LinkedIn. I've used LinkedIn to get all the referrals. But there are some important things, like there are so many people applying for jobs, there are so many people asking for referrals, but people don't have the time to respond to everybody. Or why should they even refer you? That is the question, right? So before talking about how to ask for referrals, I want to talk about how to not ask for referrals. See, messages like, hello, can you refer me? Hi, can I ask a question? Hi, sir, I came to, or ma'am, to know that is hiring. Can you refer me there? That the company is hiring. Can you help me for search job? Arey, why will somebody help you for searching a job, right? So you have to give whole context of why you should be referred. Here are some tips to ask for referrals. First of all, don't use these WhatsApp ways of texting. Don't use these acronyms. Use write a proper official message. And this happens. I'm not kidding. I get so many messages with these, I would say, informal, informal ways. The second thing is send the job ID or job link. So let's say you want a referral for software engineering, one position at Amazon. So you just don't write that I want referral for SWE1 job. Find the job link on which you want to apply. Share that job link or job ID within that message itself. Please don't expect them to search a relevant job for your profile. Don't say ki I am looking for a job. Is there any opening in your company? It is not the responsibility of a software engineer to find the right job for you. Maybe such messages could work for recruiters, but not for software engineers at all. You have to tell them that this is the job ID I want, or this is the job link I want referral for this. And don't forget to attach your resume. Sometimes people don't attach their resumes to the messages. And okay, that has also happened. If you want a referral for Amazon, don't text people working in Microsoft. Be respectful and polite. Respect the time of the other person. Those people are really getting a lot of messages from so many people, and they are taking time to refer you, though there are incentives for people for referring to the employees as well. But yes, be respectful of the time of them of their time as well. And about like how what to actually tell the other person so that they will refer you. Tell that you have been if you have some work experience, that you have been working at this place and you have done this work, you have these projects, these are your GitHub profiles or your lead code profile or whatever, and you think that you are a good fit for the role. So basically tell them why you should be referred, and the message should not be very long. People don't have time to read long messages on LinkedIn. So they should not be short like these also, and they should not be very long also. Have a template, use it for everyone. Like if there is some specifications, change it, but it doesn't take a lot of effort. About resumes, you can make decent resumes from these sites. Take a note of this: Resume Puppy and Overleaf. And you can check your resume score here. I was talking about ATS, right? So Resume Worded is a site where you can check your ATS score. Approximately 75 to 80 is a good score. Some tips on resume. It should be single paged until and unless you have 5, 6, 10 years of experience. Your resume might have 2 or 1.5 pages, but in most cases, 1 page is enough. Sometimes, it's like on average, only 30 seconds are spent on reviewing your resume. So if you have 2 pages, you're not on the good side of it. Include all relevant information and don't include any extra information. Let's say in class 10th, you want some basketball competition or some debate competition. No need to include what happened in class 10th. Education section should be there, but not the co-curricular activities of 5th, 6th, 8th classes. What sections to include? Have a experience section where you have worked, where you have interned, and not just write the titles. Write about what you did there, what was the impact of your work, what tech stack did you use. Have a project section, mention your projects. Skills, what skills do you have? You can also have a section called as coursework inside education, where you can mention DBMS, OS, or whatever important subjects are there in your coursework. And B, what else? You can have an achievements section where you can mention that you won this hackathon, or you got this rating in this contest, or you participated in some open source event, whatever. So have that skill achievement section, and volunteer your leadership's skills Leadership experiences could be another section in your resume. Try to include numbers in your resume. Let's say you participate in open source, you contribute to open source repositories, then mention that you got 5 pull requests merged, and right. And let's say in your projects too, if there are some stats like the X number of people, there are X number of visitors on your website, if you have Google Analytics included. So try to include numbers, which because numbers are quantitative, right? Absolute values. They show the truth, right? So instead of writing there are many people using my website, there are X number of people using my website, or I merged pull request in this repository. I merged 5, 6, 8, whatever. So quantify your work. That adds to the credibility of your resume. Last few tips from my side: do virtual timed contests. This will help you both for round one, which is online assessment, and for technical face-to-face rounds as well. You can do virtual contests on LeetCode, or InterviewBit also has contest, I guess. InterviewBit has the option of mock interviews too, or you could use CodeChef or Codeforces if you want to do C. If you want to increase your problem solving abilities through the competitive programming way. Virtual contests help you build speed. They help you gain the ability of figuring out edge cases. They increase the ability to write optimized solutions. So they are really helpful. I recommend doing virtual contests a lot. Like in every 2 days or 3 days, you should do one contest and upsolve. More important is upsolving those contests. Let's say in a contest you were able to solve 2 questions. You must solve the third question after the contest. You learn from the questions that you were not able to solve. Understand the difference. If you are able to solve a question, it's practice. And if you are not able to solve a question, and if you are learning how to solve a question, it's learning something new. And both the things are important. Practice as well as learning new tricks is important. Second thing is mock interviews. You can use pramp.com, or you can pair with your friends and do mock interviews. Like, not everybody is good at communicating, but it's not something that you cannot improve. So have friends do a lot of mock interviews before your interview, before the actual interview setting. You might do some mistakes, okay, in the interview, but if you do mock interviews, those mistakes will be committed in the mock sessions itself. So it's better to commit the mistakes in the practice sessions instead of losing the blood in the war. And lastly, keep trying and don't just stop because you failed a few times. Failure is not sometimes a part of the process. I believe it's part of the process all the time. So let's say if you were rejected at Amazon, if you were rejected at Microsoft, don't just stop. Try for Flipkart. Try for Amazon after 6 months again. Okay. Like everything else meaningful in life, it takes diligent effort to get good at job hunting. You don't just find and get a great job. You find and win a great job against a pool of very competitive candidates who may want the job as much, if not more than you do. It requires as much career athleticism. Winning a great job is about hard work, stamina, ingenuity, and timing. And about the luck factor, what might look like luck to you might be simply hard work paying off. There is luck factor in interviews, I agree. And why do I say that? The reason is, let's say some person, Rahul, solved let's say some question 3 days ago, or let's say a month ago, and he's asked that question in the interview. Then he got lucky. But let's say some other person, Shreya, was not able, got a new question in interview which he has not solved before. So to be honest, Wesley, like it's not really luck. It's again the number of questions that you have practiced, the ability that you have built. Some people, like in Microsoft, some of my friends were asked system design. I was not asked system design. You can call it luck or you can call it preparation. My friends, those who were asked system design, actually got selected in Microsoft because they prepared for it. If they had not prepared for it, they would be blaming luck. That Manvi got lucky. She was not asked system design. I was asked system design. So it's not luck. It's hard work paying off, guys. That's all, guys, that I have for you. If you have any questions or any feedback, feel free to answer. Feel free to ask in the chat. How to manage DSA with dev? Okay, Smarth. Okay, I'll share the PPT, Smarth. Or you could tell me like what. Um, I'll share the PPT. Shall I just share it here itself? Okay.
Manvi, either we can, we'll collect it and after that we can post it to students for that.
Okay. All right. Others, is it necessary to talk in English? So there are a lot of questions that are coming up. I'll try to take them from starting. Okay, in sequence. Does internship affect your chances getting in the company? Abhishek, if you have once got an interview and if you perform good in the interviews, then it doesn't matter if you've done an internship or not. It definitely adds plus points to your profile. Does 12th class percent? No, Deepti, no, not at all. Can BSc statistics students are eligible for this? That depends. For some they are, and for some they are not. You can check the eligibility criteria. Do any company provide part-time jobs? Harshan, yes, some companies have. Yeah, you can check on Internshala. Some companies do have part-time jobs. So I'm not answering the questions. You guys can see the questions on my screen too, right? You can see the chat window. No, okay, that's fine, no problem. Connect with us on LinkedIn. Yes, Siddharth, do send me a connection request. Yes, asked how to increase logic building approach. Yes, I talked about it. The more questions you solve, the more you will increase your logic building. Solve medium to hard level problems that will help you improve your logic building. As a fresher, should I look for a great package or a good company? A good company will offer a great package. Manchala, it's a good session. Thank you very much. Your explanation is thank you, Manchala. I'm glad that you found it useful. Mohammed asks, what should a mechanical engineering student learn to get in the IT sector? Mohammed, the process for interviews will remain same. Whether you are a mechanical engineer or a CS engineer, or like some people are asking about EC, what about EC core? Arpita asked if I'm from EC, does it affect me getting into IT? See, Arpita, as per the trends that I have seen, on-campus placements, company have these restrictions, but off-campus, mostly they don't have this restriction. Manjeet is saying, I'm in third year. What are all important topics that I have to focus as the I already had a slide on that, Manjeet. The whole webinar was about that. The 6 points. Civil engineering, lot of questions about branches. Like, yeah, guys, doesn't matter whatever branch you are from. If you get an interview once, if you perform good in it, nothing is stopping you. How to write code on your own rather than memorizing. Dhanya, um, see, let's say you try to solve a problem. So don't just see the solution. Spend some time thinking of the logic by yourself. Let's say put out 1.5 hours for solving it by yourself. Think of the approach. Write the code yourself. If you are not getting it right, try to see where you went wrong. Try to debug it. If you have friends, do pair programming, code with your friends. That's how you learn to code by coding actually. How to manage DSA with dev. Sarang, I personally prefer maintain like if you are just starting out now, if you are in first, second year, or you're just starting out, I don't suggest doing both the things together. Get some hold on DSA and then do dev. Let's say if you have good hold on DSA and dev already and you just want to practice, then you can manage it together. But if you're just starting out, I'll suggest to have a boundary between them. Thanks, Ishra and Dev Bana. What is your thought to create own personal website? Could you please provide any aptitude YouTube link or website? Manchala. Yes, I forgot. Thanks for asking that question. You could use IndiaWix. IndiaWix is a platform website which like you'll get all these aptitude questions. Interview approach explained is very clear and to the point, ma'am. Thanks, Vishal. Palka, is all companies conduct group discussion? No, Palika. Not all companies do GD. In on campus, you will find GD mostly. How to improve communication? I'll just take I'll for oh there are so many messages. I'll just take 2-3 more minutes and try to answer as much as I can. Great session by Verzeo. Yeah, thanks Verzeo for organizing it. Um, with coding language we want to learn to, okay, really great session, what type, this type of or inspire from. I guess rest of the messages are more about feedback, and I think we are done with the question. Thanks guys, thanks for attending the session, and all the very best for your interviews. That's all that I have
Thank
for
you so
you
much,
today.
Manvi. That was a great session by Manvi Tyagi. Thanks, guys. I believe you also enjoyed well and you also learned and the things which is required to prepare yourself for the interviews or else for your further process and everything. So, yep, that would be the thing for today's session. And I'll be just sharing a poll with you guys so that we can get a quick feedback on the current session so that we can improvise and we can do these kind of activities more in the future. And yep, thank you, Manvi. Thank you for your time. Thank you for attending the webinar and providing us the thoughts and the required uh, things which is needed for students for Verzeo candidates also. I think we'll be doing this like bit often in the future. Hope for the best. Thank you again. Students, this session will be uploaded in YouTube. The links and the required materials, all those things will be posted uh, to your email. And one more thing, whoever have missed it or else whoever are were not able to join the session or something, we'll be doing similar things in the future. We do require your feedbacks so that we can do it often. And yep, it will be definitely added to your LMS so that you can watch it and you can go through it. And yep, that's all from our end. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for attending and have a great evening. It's Ajay Bilov signing off. Thank you. And thank you, Madhvi, once again.
Thanks everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Visit verzeo.com, subscribe to our channel to know more.